We've all experienced the pandemic's impact on business. Join us now as experts discuss ideas and help to get us through the current financial insecurity. Coronavirus, Managing Your Money, with host Tim Seaman.
And good evening again, and thank you for joining us this evening for this special KCAU-9 Town Hall, Coronavirus, Managing Your Money. I'm Tim Seaman. Federal and state financial assistance, of course, has started to roll out amid the COVID-19 crisis, and that includes stimulus checks. The process is new and often changing. To help you better understand where help is available and how you can put it to use, we've invited three local financial experts to join us here in studio tonight for this town hall discussion, and we'll get to them in just a second. But first, a check on our local case numbers out just as of today. Woodbury County now reporting one new case, and that brings the county's total to 23. Harrison County is holding steady at 12 cases confirmed, with nearly everyone there recovered. Meanwhile, in Nebraska, more than 950 cases confirmed in the state. Dakota County seeing a spike, I should say, in their positive cases today with 9 new reports. Madison County with 1 new case today, bringing their total to 7. And in South Dakota, more than 1,300 cases of COVID-19 confirmed. In our local area, Lincoln County reporting the most cases at 71, with 30 recoveries there. I'd like to take time now and introduce you to our guests that have joined us in studio tonight. And closest to me is Jeremy Craighead. He is the Executive Vice President at Security National Bank. Jeremy, thanks for coming in tonight. In the middle, well-known face here in Sioux City in the business circles, Chris McGowan, President of the Siouxland Chamber of Commerce. Chris, thanks for being here. And also tonight with us on the far side, Lori Scott. Lori, thanks for coming in. She is the Financial and Housing Counselor at the Center for Siouxland, an organization that helps many, many people in our community. Again, thanks for being with us. Chris, I want to start with you. You probably have as good a grip on the business community, small and large. And so as we've now gone 5 weeks, give us your opinion on where we may see our community when this finally is done, when you look at the way the coronavirus has impacted businesses.
So I think first and foremost, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with both Lori and Jeremy, and thanks for the opportunity to talk about the Siouxland business community. And Tim, it was actually almost 1 month ago today, on St. Patrick's Day, we were visiting in this studio about what we thought that long-term impact would be. And we talked a little bit about how impressed we always are with this community in a crisis. And that's the case, again, 4 weeks removed. Countless stories of the business community supporting one another. I'm so impressed with that. Jeremy's bank and other banks, which are usually hyper-competitive with one another, making phone calls to one another, sending emails, sharing information about the Paycheck Protection Program under the CARES Act. So that gives me great hope and reason to be optimistic. But I also want to be very clear. This is a very damaging economic situation. My crystal ball won't allow me to tell you what it looks like on the back end, because we don't know when that back end is actually going to arrive. We hope sooner rather than later, but we know there are an awful lot of businesses, large and small, mom and pop, investor-owned alike, that are struggling and they're hanging on and they're trying to fight through this. That said, when I step into a restaurant for takeout, and we're doing our best to support a lot of these locally owned businesses, universally I hear, we're holding on. We're really appreciative of the Siouxland community for supporting us during the crisis, and we hope to hear more stories like that.
We showed you the COVID-19 cases when we got started here in our county. We also want to also share some important financial numbers that are tied to COVID-19. $2 trillion is what was included in the Federal CARES Act, and that includes financing options for small business owners, the independent contractors, and does include the Paycheck Protection Program. 22,000 Iowa businesses have received loans totaling nearly $4 billion so far. And one of the largest programs here in the state of Iowa targets small businesses as well, with relief grants. $24 million has now been allocated, and you'll hear, as you will hear later tonight, there is optimism that there may be more money coming into that program to help other small businesses. So, Jeremy, I guess I'll turn to you at this point. Let's start with those federal dollars. That Paycheck Protection Program is something that banks across the country and here in Siouxland are dealing with. $349 billion, if my numbers are right. What's the response been here in Siouxland as you talk to your partners in business?
Sure. I would, a good way to describe it, Tim, is probably overwhelming. From start to finish, from the SBA and U.S. Treasury all the way down to the individuals and companies trying to borrow funds. The process moved very quickly. It was very fluid, a lot of changes along the way. But in the end, as Chris McGowan stated earlier, a lot of normal competitors came together to help make sure that the end goal was achieved, which was to get the dollars in the hands of employers, to get those back into keep payroll moving, and ultimately put a paycheck in people's pockets.
It's something like we've not had to deal with before. It's a new process, and I'm sure every day is a completely new day in the finance business. Have banks had challenges at all in processing these PPP checks or the process?
Yeah, I would describe it as an adventure, as a kind of a good way to position it originally. Again, from the Treasury all the way down, this process moved very quickly. There were some, I'll say, unexpected challenges along the way, from system application processes to just the influx. Probably most organizations and banks in town processed more loans in a matter of a week than they probably would an entire year. So if you take that large pipeline and try to funnel it through, naturally there were some obstacles there, but again, I reach out and congratulate all the rest of the banking colleagues out there on all the efforts. There were a lot of late nights, long hours to try to do our best to help achieve what we were ultimately asked to do, which was get dollars back in the hands of employers.
Just lastly, while we're talking about that protection program, I mentioned $300 and some billion in that program. Yeah, billion?
Billion.
I was going to say, or is it trillion? How close are we to having that money exhausted? Is that something you're aware of, or is that still in the process?
Yep, good question, Tim. So the $350 billion actually is exhausted at this time. The current program has been suspended. There is conversations taking place. As early as I walked into the studio early tonight, I know there are conversations being had, but a resolution has not yet been reached. So that's kind of a to be determined at this time.
Possibly that fourth wave of assistance.
Absolutely, it's correct.
Lori, it's reported that 40% of U.S. households can't handle a $400 emergency without gaining debt, and sometimes significant debt. Explain a little bit about the problems that you're seeing at this point, or the questions you're getting. What advice do you have for people as they are unexpectedly hit with this problem?
So when somebody has an unexpected loss of income, or their income suddenly goes down, it's very important right up front to take a look at spending and where you might be able to cut back. And so I think what happens a lot with people, and we see this all the time, where they have a decrease in income, but then they don't lower their standard of living right away, and so then that causes problems later on down the road. So by continuing to live at the same standard, having the same expenses. So instead of having the money to be able to pay it each week with their paycheck, then they're using credit cards, and so then that causes many problems later on down the road.
You mentioned priorities there. What would you tell someone if you're laying out a blueprint for priorities in my spending? What would you offer?
We always say food is top. Obviously,
sure,
we need food to live, but the next would be housing. So we want to make our house payment, our rent. That's next. We need the utilities to live in our house, and so you want to pay those next. And then it's really taking a look after that. How much money do you have left, and what can be paid? So really, if you can't make all of your bills, for example, if you can't pay your mortgage, it's super important to just contact your loan servicer. That's who sends you your monthly mortgage statement. Contact them right away. There are a lot of programs available right now if you're unable to make the payment, but it's best to make that phone call right away.
And we read in national publications, Jeremy, banks across the country are preparing for defaults on loans. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you're probably getting calls from people already. I'm at the bottom of the line here. Can you help me? What should I do? Do you have an answer there, I guess, to pigtail off of what she said about that?
Sure. I'd absolutely agree with the idea of creating a budget and prioritizing the payments and walking through that process. Locally, I've not been made aware of a high volume of calls specifically for distress on making payments at this time, but I know all local financial institutions are having those conversations internally. There are plans and processes in place. I would absolutely agree with the advice. The first thing to do is reach out and have an open dialogue, have a communication. Generally speaking, it's when financial institutions don't hear from people sometimes that they get concerned when they start to see payments lag or get behind. But opening that dialogue early, again, I think you'll find most local and community banks willing to reach out and help the people in their communities.
Over the course of the days in this week, we've polled our viewers about a couple of different subjects. We want to take time to look at the first of those. And some of these statistics may not be all that surprising. Some may. Are you worried about your personal finances? 59% saying yes, 40% saying no. That may, I don't know this statistic, that may almost mirror when you look at a socioeconomic base of our community. It's probably somewhere in that area, maybe a little greater on both ends or less on each ends. Lori, tell us, when people have that problem, Jeremy just mentioned, make the phone call. What programs or what assistance does Center for Siouxland have, or other nonprofit financial helpers in our community? What are they able to offer?
So with Center for Siouxland, with our credit and housing counseling, we're able to help clients put together that budget that might be stressful for them to do, to take a look at that budget and their expenses in black and white with the client, to be able to figure out where they might be able to cut back. Because when somebody is really stressed, it's difficult to make those decisions. So we can help guide them in that way. We also, with our housing counseling program, are able to help the client work with their servicers. So everybody's able to do that on their own. Contact your loan servicer, talk to them about your mortgage if you're unable to make the payments. There are programs. But it stresses so many people out, and they're afraid to do that, afraid to make that phone call, so we can help them work with their lender as well. There's no cost at all for our counseling services, and so we'd be happy to help. And there are also other programs available. I know the United Way has a list on their website of food pantries. So if you're struggling with purchasing groceries, they have a list of a lot of food pantries in our area and the hours that they're available, so you can stop in and find assistance with that. And Community Action Agency also has an opportunity to help people with their utility assistance. So there's a LIHEAP program that they offer, and that gives assistance with your Mid-American bill. And so if you contact Community Action, they would be able to see if you qualify for their program for assistance with paying for that.
There's a saying that says something about the worst of times can also be the best of times. If you go back to 2008, things like Uber and WhatsApp weren't around, but they were what we needed at that point all of a sudden. Similar circumstances today, Chris. What would you say to business owners or developers as they look past this crisis and how they move ahead positively?
That's an excellent question, Tim, and I represent both the Siouxland Chamber of Commerce and its sister organization, the Siouxland Initiative, which is an economic development group for the tri-state region. And the economic development group is now focused on what we will see emerge in the wake of this crisis. And right now, our focus is on seeing business come back to the United States from overseas. We know that's going to happen in pharmaceutical. We know antiviral, antibacterial, those kinds of things. We're hearing our federal politicians, our federal legislators begin to talk about. We know that's a great opportunity for our Siouxland community. We already produce a tremendous amount of food in this community. We understand the safety. We understand the efficiencies, the economies of scale. We have the infrastructure to support those kinds of businesses. And you're going to see Siouxland make a strong play for those businesses coming back to the United States in the wake of the coronavirus crisis.
I'm going to take a look at one of the questions that our viewers have sent in for you folks to try to give an answer to if you can. I'm going to be talking with my credit card company about assistance. Is there a best practice when asking for that help? We've kind of already touched on that, but other than saying, can you let my loan, or will you let my payment slide till next month? Either of you that work in the finance side of things, what would you offer as something they should bring forward in that conversation?
Sure. I think you'll find most financial companies will have some type of package or plan that they will offer up. It may be whether it's a forbearance or an extension of a payment, allowing it to move to a later date and time in order to help give a little bit of breathing room with their finances. That would be what somebody should expect, and I think a good business would help offer some of those opportunities up front.
We talked about the federal chunk of money. Iowa has also provided money to small businesses in the state. It started out at $4 million and grew to 24 quickly, and just as quickly it was spent. We talked earlier today with Debbie Durham, who is the director of the Iowa Finance Authority, about that program. I asked her if there was a chance that more money could be coming in that program, and we want to get her thoughts as we check in with the director of the Iowa Finance Program.
I'm so hopeful that if we get guidance from Treasury, we will go ahead and continue to working through our pool and take care of all those really worthy applications that we still need to fund.
There are other programs that do still have funds available. What would you recommend to Siouxland businesses?
I recommend that they visit www.iowabusinessrecovery.com, and everything that touches business relief of any kind, whether it's our program or workforce development or even SBA, is on that site. And we keep it updated some days hourly because we're seeing so much change, so many programs changing. And so we encourage people to go there. And then from there, you can go to our regular site. We always have a list there of our other programs.
Do you think business in Iowa in general will change in the days after COVID-19 in our state?
Without a doubt. What I think it has done, though, is illustrate how connectivity and broadband deployment is absolutely critical as we move forward. Even for our Main Street businesses, right? We have to be looking at more online presence. And so, you know, the governor's going to be putting together a recovery task force. So though we're doing triage and helping people at this immediate need of, you know, a crisis, if you will, pandemic, we also need to plan what is our recovery going to look like and see and learn from all of this and look at what kind of investments we need to make from infrastructure or programming that will even make us stronger than ever when we come out the other side of this.
I know you're very busy. I appreciate the time. Stay safe, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Jeremy, that takes us right back to you. I'm guessing you're starting to see some of that money come through, that folks are receiving, not just that business money, but I'm kind of taking a leap now into the money that the federal government is providing for folks, that $1,200, $500 per child. Are those checks starting to arrive? Oh, we know they're starting to arrive in people's accounts. I'm guessing you're seeing that activity as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. So on April 15th, the first wave processed through, and across the nation, it was 80 million plus individuals received a form of a payment. Now, most of those payments came in the form of electronic deposit, so the funds went straight into their account and were immediately available. We are being told that sometime next week there will be a second wave, and that could be a combination of actual paper checks along with another round of electronic deposit.
So folks at home that maybe haven't seen a check yet, next week might be their week.
Potentially, and there is at the irs.gov, if you search My Payment Now, there's an option that come up where they can do a little bit of research and figure out where their wave or where their payment might be.
We have a graphic right here, I think, that you can check as well. Get My Payment is the bottom line there. A lot of letters and numbers there. This will be on our website, of course, later tonight. You can go back and check that again. But if you were to just Google Get My Payment, I think you'd probably get to that right site. Lori, we've talked a lot about how do I spend my money. It's probably equally as important, how do I save it? And what should the priority be there between dealing with my day and tomorrow?
Absolutely. So at the beginning, you had mentioned that most people could not cover a $400 emergency that came up. This is a great opportunity to take some of that money and put it into savings for an emergency later if you don't need it now. So obviously, if you need it now to make it through the month, use it, but if you can, take a chunk of that and put it into savings and just leave it there for an emergency. Don't touch it, and just leave it there in case something comes up.
We asked our viewers earlier in the week and our social media partners about this very same thing. How will you use your stimulus money? Pay bills, 59%, save, 41%. I suppose you'd like to see it closer to 50-50, but that's probably pretty realistic. Would you agree, Lori?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, I mean, our goal would obviously try to get, you know, to $1,000 in savings at all times and 2 to 3 months worth of expenses, which I don't think is realistic for everybody. But at least having that minimum $500 to $1,000 in savings can be a godsend later.
Chris, I'd be curious if you've heard from business owners as well as they look ahead, a new way of doing business. When you're in a situation like this where you have to judge every dollar that's out there, do you hear from businesses, you know, maybe I need to change the way I'm doing business. I don't need 100,000 square feet to do what I'm doing. I might be able to do it on 75. Or other options like that? I would think some folks you talk with, probably a light bulb's going off as they look ahead.
I think that you're absolutely right, Tim, that business has to look internally and make decisions about how they're going to manage all aspects of their companies moving forward, okay? This is a game changer. We have to examine everything we do and the way we do it. I don't have specific information from any executive in the community saying, hey, I'm looking at downsizing my infrastructure, my square footage, those types of things. There are a lot of executives that are very concerned about making sure that they're able to make payroll. They're trying to make sure that we open business up at the right time. There's a lot of conversation at the federal level, the state level about when it's the right time to open. Listen, I get a lot of emails from folks saying we need to be open now, okay? I got an awful lot of people saying, no, we have to take our time and make sure we do this properly. These politicians are under an awful lot of pressure right now to get these decisions right. And so I think they're taking their time, and I think business executives are trying to do the same thing. Make sure they make the right long-term decision. One thing I can say with certitude is it's not just for the business, and it's not just for the employers. Our employers have a deep, a very deep level of compassion, care, and concern for their employees. To a person, that's what I'm hearing from the executives. We want to protect and take care of our employees, and that's a great message for them to share with us, but that's what's guiding that decision making.
We talked about some of these different programs and where help is assistance. Let's pause for just a second and take a look at a couple of graphics here that will give you online addresses that you can go to, beginning with the Business Recovery IDED program that you can click into, and you'll find help there, as well as another offering from the IRS that you can check at home, iowabusinessrecovery.com. That's for additional financial assistance from the Iowa Department of Economic Development and Finance Authority. There's also a number of programs set up by the Small Business Association that are available that you can go to there. Also, Small Business Guide, and again, this is a lot of information to look at, but later tonight we would recommend that you go back. You can take a look at these addresses and perhaps gain some information there. I want to talk about something else that obviously there's probably a lot of activity on when you talk about finances, and that's mortgages right now. What's the right thought, and Lori, I'm going to start with you, for somebody that is in a position, what's the right thought about refinancing a credit card or refinancing your home right now? Is that something, I'm sure it's individual obviously, but what recommendation do you have?
It's so individual. It's really difficult for me to put that into broad terms. You really just need to look at your current situation. How long are you going to stay in the house? What is your current interest rate? And then thinking about taking credit cards that are unsecured and financing them into your home and making them now a secured debt. And so that's something you really have to think about. For some people that works out well. For others, it's not the best option, because if something comes up down the road and you're not able to make that higher house payment, you're going to have difficulties. But there are options available right now. If you're able to make your house payment, even if there are forbearance options available, you should still make that full house payment if you're able. If not, contact your servicer.
Jeremy, what factors would you say folks should really consider before they move down that road?
Sure. Other things to consider would be to look at how long you think you're going to be in the house. If you're looking at a shorter time period, possibly, say 5 or 7 years or less, the cost-benefit analysis may not make sense to go through the refinance process.
We talked a minute ago about changes in small business. What about changes in the banking business? Do you think, and again, this is a hypothetical, I guess, but as you look ahead, is it safe to think that we'll see, I know we'll see changes in our broadcast industry. I'm assuming the banking industry will too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we will see some changes, behaviors that, it takes time for people to get adapted to a new behavior. For example, we have seen an increase of digital style of banking. Maybe some people that would prefer to go in a branch, and those branches will still be open going forward in the future, but maybe they're a little bit more comfortable now using some type of mobile banking or online banking that they wouldn't have tried previously.
As we get ready to kind of wind down here, Chris, I want to come back to you because amongst all of this pandemonium and trouble, the community really has come together from all corners. It doesn't really matter where you look in Siouxland, whether it's in Sioux City or our surrounding counties. Folks are reaching out to each other, and the efforts that people are doing to help small business is really amazing.
There's no doubt about that, Tim. We talked a month ago about watching our community come together in a crisis. We saw it 30 years ago with the plane crash of 232. We saw it in the floods of 2011. We've seen it repeatedly again and again and again. I predicted we'd see it in this case. We certainly are. Whether it's the banks, who are usually very, very competitive, cooperating with one another to make sure that Siouxland businesses are taken care of with the Paycheck Protection Program. It's in your industry as well, Tim. I've done several meetings with the press where we're talking about important coronavirus-related stories. And all of our media have cooperated and said, hey, let's just send in one camera, one reporter, we'll share the footage. And you guys are competitive, we know that, but that's an enormous, I think, responsibility, and you guys are taking it very seriously, and you should be complimented and congratulated for that. And we're seeing those kinds of examples throughout the business community and throughout the community at large. And as I've said many, many times, I'm really proud of my hometown.
We're going to try to end things tonight on a lighter note. Some folks down in Gretna, Nebraska, Jonathan and Amanda Teixeira, have produced a parody video. They're in the local finance business themselves, co-founders of what's called Wallet Win, a personal finance company. They've put together this video, and I think it should put a smile on everybody's face.
Ladies and gents, this is the money you've waited for. Been searching in the couch, your pockets and on the floor. Your balance is low, and there's bills that you can't ignore. Your hours are short, you're nearly broke, and working from home with kids is a joke. Don't waste it, it's coming to you, here to help you. While you're stuck at home, staying in your place or shopping. Panic buying, make sure it doesn't take you over. Pay your bills, stay current and avoid foreclosure. It's money, it's payment, it's direct deposit. It'll help you if you...
A little fun way to wrap up what is a serious subject. I want to say thanks again for being with us, Jeremy, Chris, Lori, all of you, and stay safe, stay healthy. Just a closing, we've got 1 minute, a quick closing word, Jeremy.
Sure. You know, Chris has done a good job of thanking all the businesses in town, but I also want to thank Chris and the Chamber. They've been a wonderful resource to help us all work through these tough times. So thank you, Chris.
Lori?
Just if you need help, just contact us and we'd be happy to find other resources for you in the community.
I can't go back to Mr. McGowan with less than 30 seconds because he takes at least a minute. So we're going to say thanks, Chris, for being with us. We really do appreciate that tonight.
Happy to be here, and I would remind you that as we've said since the floods in 2011 at the Siouxland Chamber, together we are stronger.
Indeed. Thank you for being with us at home tonight as well. Again, this is the 5th of our town hall meetings, covering everything from finance to medicine to city and county government. And as the days continue to click by, we'll continue to take a look at what might be important and what questions you may have, and we'll continue to try to answer those questions for all of you in Siouxland. For all of us here at KCAU 9 tonight, thanks for being with us. Enjoy your night, and join us tonight at 10.